Today's breaking news story is straight out of George Orwell's famous novel 1984, but it's real life. Because MSNBC has continued its tragic fall into becoming an absolute joke. Maybe not all of it, but certainly the cast of Morning Joe, specifically its hosts, Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski. And trust me, I know from the comments many of you are well aware of their kowtowing to Donald Trump from a few weeks ago, but today's abysmal and humiliating display of giving in to the fear of Trump was so bad that one of their guests wrote an entire piece in The Atlantic about the incident, revealing just how badly they've given in to the fascist censorship of Trump and forced themselves to apologize for a joke that the guest made on their show about Fox News. So first, I want to play for you this clip of Mika Brzezinski apologizing to her dwindling audience for her guest's oh-so-flippant remarks about Fox News and Pete Hegseth that hurt their little dictator daddy's feelings, so they had to issue an apology. And then I'll play you the disgusting joke she was so upset about. And then finally, we'll see Morning Joe torn to shreds by the guest's brutal Atlantic piece. So drop a like and subscribe if you're sick of the mainstream media like me, and let's dive in.
A little bit earlier in this block, there was a comment made about Fox News in our coverage about Pete Hegseth and the growing number of allegations about his behavior over the years and possible addiction to alcohol or issues with alcohol. The comment was a little too flippant for this moment that we're in. We just want to make that comment as well. We want to make that clear. We have differences in coverage with Fox News, and that's a good debate that we should have often. But right now, I just want to say there's a lot of good people that work at Fox News who care about Pete Hegseth, and we'll want to leave it at that.
Wow, Mika, way to take the high ground by yet again dropping to your knee for abusers and...
It's time that fascism is called fascism, and Americans know exactly what they're voting for.
He is paving the way to become a Vladimir Putin or to become an Adolf Hitler.
Meanwhile, Joe and Mika Brzezinski Scarborough, who famously warned of the growing threat of Trump's fascism, also had an interesting announcement to make.
Last Thursday, we expressed our own concerns on this broadcast and even said we would appreciate the opportunity to speak with the president-elect himself. On Friday, we were given the opportunity to do just that. Joe and I went to Mar-a-Lago to meet personally with President-elect Trump. And for those asking why we would go speak to the president-elect during such fraught times, especially between us, I guess I would ask back, why wouldn't we?
Because you said he was Hitler.
Now look, I'm not saying addiction is funny or that there's no room left for civility, but trust me, when you hear the joke that Mika Brzezinski got so up in arms about that she had to defend Fox News and Pete Hegseth, I think you'll agree that it goes a little further than trying to maintain civility and respect for one of the people and propaganda networks in the country, and really just veers hard right into being an apologist cuck suckling at the teat of Sergeant Man-Titties and his brigade of baboons.
David, I'll start with you on this. What's your sense of where the Hegseth pick is headed here?
Well, just given what one sees on camera, if you're too drunk for Fox News, you're very, very drunk indeed.
I agree with Mika. I am pissed because I didn't think of that joke first. But seriously, are you kidding me? You're gonna apologize on this man, David Frum's behalf, because he rightly pointed out that everyone at Fox News basically operates at a daily BAC of 0.06, and Pete Hegseth just happened to say double that and give it all to me?
Hegseth passed out in the back of a party bus, then urinated in front of a hotel.
But Mika's apology is even more insane and dystopian when you hear what Frum followed up with right after.
One sees on camera, if you're too drunk for Fox News, you're very, very drunk indeed. So that's alarming. In 1989, President George H.W. Bush nominated John Tower, senator from Texas, for Secretary of Defense. Now, Tower was a very considerable person, a real defense intellectual, someone who deeply understood defense, unlike the current nominee. And it emerged that Tower had a drinking problem. And when he was drinking too much, he would make himself a nuisance or worse to the women around him. And for that reason, his nomination collapsed in 1989. You don't want to think that our moral standards have declined so much that you could say, let's take all the drinking, all the sex pesting, subtract any knowledge of defense, subtract any leadership, and there's your next Secretary of Defense for the 21st century.
A pretty sobering follow-up and clarification, wouldn't you think? And it is just so frustrating because I appreciate an informed public. That is the news media's job. And sometimes there are clips from even that show that do add relevant context, but I don't even want to use or watch them anymore because of stuff like this. Like, you really throw away any sliver of legitimacy you were clinging onto when you start becoming a Fox News apologist in addition to a Donald Trump teat-suckling cow-tower. And no one expressed that sentiment more eloquently or cathartically than the only guy to somehow simultaneously troll Fox News and MSNBC at the same time, the joke master himself, David Frum. In the piece, he recapped what had happened and commented on the current environment MSNBC finds itself in as viewers continue to tune out following Trump's win, saying they genuinely have a lot to worry about and adding, as for my own comments, you can decide for yourself whether I overstep the proper limits of television discussion, but I also note that if I did misstep, well, my face was on the screen, my name was on the chyron, and anyone who took offense knows who to blame. It is a very ominous thing if our leading forums for discussion of public affairs are already feeling the chill of intimidation and responding with efforts to appease. Frum concluded by noting this would likely get him barred from MSNBC, and I write these words very aware that I'm probably saying goodbye forever to a television platform that I enjoy and from which I have benefited as both a viewer and guest. I have been the recipient of personal kindness from the hosts, and I have not forgotten. I do not write to scold anyone, I write because fear is infectious, let it spread, and it will paralyze us all. The only antidote is courage, and that's infectious too. And look, I know you can all appreciate this because I saw it in the comments when I used one of Morning Joe's clips last week. But while it is a sad sight to see legacy media increasingly under the puppet strings of corporate interests, forcing or coercing their talent into towing the line of authoritarianism for the benefit of profit and at the expense of democracy and an educated American public, perhaps this is what needs to happen. Maybe. Like a lot of other parts of this convoluted system that has completely stopped serving the people it was implemented to, the mainstream media needs to be figuratively burned to the ground or at least reset so something better can rise from the ashes and take its place. And that is exactly our goal here at Really American. So if you enjoy these videos, the satire, the news from people who will tell it to you straight, respond to you in the comments and aren't beholden to corporate interests, then consider dropping a like down there and subscribing to the channel to help us democratize the news and bring some sanity through humor. Because on my mama, I vow never to suckle at the teat of Donald Trump, unlike Mika and Joe, who hopefully will at least wake up and smell the fucking coffee someday. For Really American, I'm Kenny Hesse, and I'll see you all in the next one.
Report says Hegseth was repeatedly intoxicated to the point of needing to be carried out of the organization's events.
So inebriated by 1 a.m. that a staffer who had driven him to his hotel in a van full of other drunken staffers asked for assistance to get Hegseth to his room.
Hegseth passed out in the back of a party bus, then urinated in front of a hotel where CVA's team was staying.
At one point, Hegseth had to be restrained while drunk from joining the dancers on the stage of a Louisiana strip club